You can't get better unless you practice. This has honestly stayed with me throughout the years since I first picked up a tennis racket, and honestly, I've brought that same thought process with me when it comes down to improving my photography and videography ever since I started. So it made me think about going out to the tennis courts to practice two things at once: my tennis and my videography. It seemed like such a perfect day to simply put in some repetitions to be able to improve my tennis strokes and my videography skills. Because one thing that I've tried to do every time that I step out on the court after all these years is that I bring the belief that I can still improve my game even after all these years of playing the sport. Not just for my sake to get better, but because I can bring better results from my work now as a tennis coach for my students. Which this thought process brought me to this video, to simply start documenting things to improve my art. Sometimes we believe that our everyday life can be boring or not intriguing enough to document, but I've noticed that the more I try to document my everyday life, I'm able to work on my framing of the camera, how to spot better angles, maybe the lighting, and simply improve my creativity within each video that I make. So here I am, putting my money where my mouth is and practicing to get better. I simply wanted to bring my camera and document my day playing tennis and teaching my student out on such a beautiful day. Because like I first said when we started this video, you can't get better unless you practice. So coming back from being in the tennis court, it just reminds me how much practice is so important to just get better at anything that you do. A lot of times we forget that the repetition is key to becoming a consistent creator, whether it's athlete or anything like that, that we tend to neglect it. For me, tennis relates to content creation because it's that consistency of working out your muscle memory, just the same way that I would use my creative muscle to be, create like a muscle memory with it to become better as I keep using it. I feel like the most of the time when we start feeling more, that imposter syndrome is because we just stop creating as often as we were used to, and we start seeing other people's work and not focused, much on ourselves. And for me with sports, since I've played tennis since I was about 5 years old, it's very important to just, do that repetition, that workout, that muscle memory to keep the creative juices going, whether it's with my tennis or my content creation, to become a better, tennis coach, tennis player, or photographer, videographer. And for me personally, that's why I wanted to do a little bit of a filming session today when I was going out to do some tennis, and also while I was kind of just coaching with one of my students, since it was just more of a chill day that I told her to come out so I can do a little bit of filming that I wanted to do that also would help out for her to be able to do some assessment of her technique, just the same way that it would help me out to just go ahead and create content. And this brings me to the thought process of just simply doing it. You want to just go ahead and create your everyday life, whether if you think it's boring, some other people might think it's fun, some might think it's interesting because maybe your location is boring to you, and that happens to me all the time with my location feeling boring, but other people might think it's a beautiful location or something different because, traveling kind of triggers that creativity to me to be able to have something different. It makes me see things in a different light, makes me see different colors and everything to a certain aspect where I want to create things that maybe the locals might think it's stupid or might think it's kind of overdone, but for me it's something new, just the same way that I would think people doing that whenever they would come to me. And this helps me out to just kind of focus more on the creating part rather than the gear itself. I mean, I brought my ZV-E1 with my 20-70 f4, not because it was the most, kind of set up to become more cinematic, if you will, or anything, but it was because it was the most accessible one that I would want to use to create. And don't get me wrong, I know everybody's saying that, gear doesn't matter. To a certain degree, it doesn't. You want to make sure that you're having the gear that'll just make you create. And for me, I just had that drawn attention that I wanted to bring the ZV-E1 with me and bring my 20-70 because I could focus on just one lens, one, kind of focal range style where I can go zoom in, zoom out, and not be overthinking it so that I could actually just go ahead and create. And I know somebody's going to comment like, well, you have expensive gear, so you can choose whatever you want. And to a certain degree, that's true. I mean, every creator out there is going to have the gear that they can afford. And for me, I've worked hard to be able to afford all the gear that I've been able to get so that I can create the content that I want to and be happy to create all the time, which is the whole purpose of why I worked hard to be able to afford it, but also be able to use it appropriately. I wouldn't go ahead and buy an FX6, for example, with how expensive it is, because I can't justify justify the cost of it. That's why I've made a video about even how I can't justify the cost of just buying an A7C Mark II to add to my arsenal when I have all the other gear that I currently have. So obviously we all want to have the best gear out there because we think it'll make us the better, creator. But in reality, it's not really, it doesn't work that way, I guess. And for me, I try to use what's available to me as well. I mean, I could bring lights with me to create better content or anything like that, I guess, to a certain degree. But sometimes you got to use the natural light that you can to be able to create the best content. Sometimes having the nice sun rays hitting through the trees or something like that can be just something perfect to be able to create something that you couldn't really replicate as easily with a light. So might as well just use what's available to you, whether you have a ZV-E1 or if you have a Sony A7 II, A7 III, A7 IV, your iPhone or anything. Just practice. I mean, a lot of the times we kind of tend to have excuses, and it comes back to tennis to me because I've done that for so long that I even tell my students, I don't need to hear an excuse. I need to hear a game plan, because at the end of the day, if you miss something or you miss a shot, you're always having to figure out the problem so you can fix it. So analyze the situation, and that's what I've tried to do with my content creation. I try to analyze what I liked about a shot, what I didn't, what could I have done better, so that next time I can become better. And it helps me create that muscle memory, and that's the point of why I wanted to just go ahead and take my camera out to make videos today, because it was just such a beautiful morning that I thought it would be perfect to go ahead and document it, whether it's with a bit of me playing tennis, my student, or anything, and then just coming back and getting to chat with you guys. It's keeping me accountable to build that muscle memory for my content creation, to see things differently, to try to analyze the problem, to fix it and or improve it so that I can just become better. And just like any sport or any exercise, your brain has to get that exercise going to become a better creator so that you can see things and everything. Repetition is key. Sometimes it's not the most exciting thing to hear because repetition can be rather boring, but if you keep doing something over and over, you start finding out different things that you could improve on, or you can see why they're not working. And that's what I do with tennis a lot for myself and for my students. And now I do it for my photo and video. I'll go out and take photos that you guys won't even see. I'll make videos that you won't even see. Nobody does, but it's for myself to just analyze and become better and keep repeating the process until I get something that I'm very proud of or happy to keep putting out for you guys to see and experience, because it shows me my growth. It shows me how much happier I am that I can show you guys as well. So personally, just don't overthink it. Simply just do it. I don't like having that thought process where I can just put an excuse and say, well, maybe if these conditions were right, I would do better. And there's some days that those thoughts win. I've had that situation happen when I filmed videos before where I've talked about how my location is not inspiring or anything. And I let that kind of, get that toxicity out and rambling, but I also realized that I still need to do it. There's a reason why I still put out videos, whether I'm still in my location, or I could have just said as an excuse that I'm still here, so I'm just not going to go and create because I'm not having a location that I like, or it's not as nice as, let's say, Amsterdam, New York City, or anything like that. But just simply, showing up matters. And that's kind of basically what today's video is about. So hopefully it resonates with you. It's a little bit more of a different type of video, I guess, but hopefully you enjoyed and you got to see some nice little tennis action and kind of quote unquote cinematic moments that I was, trying to get better at so that I can use it for video productions that I want to do for myself and clients and see what happens in the future. So simple enough, just repeat, do it, no excuses. And go have fun. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.